Margaret worked her entire career as a nurse. 34 years, night shifts, holidays, weekends. She put in the time. She saved carefully. By the time she was 58, she had enough. Enough in her 401k, enough in savings, enough of the 12-hour shifts. She retired in October of 2023 feeling like she had won. By the spring of 2025, she had run the numbers for the first time with a real Social Security specialist. Not an HR rep, not her neighbor who retired 2 years ago, an actual specialist. What she found out in that meeting cost her more than any financial mistake she had ever made. Not because she had done anything illegal, not because she had missed a deadline, but because nobody had ever explained to her what the Social Security Administration does to the benefits of people who retire before 62. The number the specialist put in front of her was $114,000. That was the difference between what she would collect over her lifetime under her current plan and what she would have collected if she had made one different decision before she stopped working. Margaret is not unusual. She is the rule, not the exception. Every week, people retire in their late 50s with money in the bank and a plan that looks solid on paper, and nobody tells them what the Social Security Administration has already decided about their benefits. The 5 specific ways that early retirement reduces your Social Security before you ever file a single form are things most financial advisors gloss over, most HR departments never explain, and most retirees discover too late to fix. This video is for educational purposes only and is not tax or financial advice. Consult a qualified tax professional before making any decisions about your specific situation. My name is Kevin Retires. Every week I break down the tax rules, the financial traps, and the strategies that protect retirees from the things nobody else is explaining. If that sounds like something you need, hit the subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Today, I am going to walk you through exactly why retiring before age 62 can cost you more than $100,000 in Social Security benefits over your lifetime, and I'm going to show you the specific calculations the Social Security Administration runs on your record the moment your earned income stops. These are not abstract concepts. Each one has a specific formula, a specific threshold, and a specific dollar impact. And every single one of them gets worse the earlier you retire. The first thing that happens when you retire before 62 is that your earnings record stops growing at exactly the wrong time. Most people think Social Security is simple. You work, you pay in, you collect later. What they do not understand is how the Social Security Administration actually calculates your benefit. Your benefit is not based on what you paid in. It is not based on your final salary. It is based on a formula applied to your highest 35 years of earnings, adjusted for inflation. The Social Security Administration calls these your average indexed monthly earnings, or M. Every year you work is 1 year in that calculation. If you worked fewer than 35 years, the SSA fills the remaining slots with zeros. This is the first and most silent penalty of early retirement. If you retire at 58 and you began working at 22, you have 36 years of earnings. That sounds like enough. But those early years, the years when you were 22 and 24 and 27 and making $28,000 a year, those years are still in your top 35. The SSA replaces the weakest years automatically. But if you had kept working until 62, those 4 additional years of your peak earning power, the years when you were making $85,000 or $90,000 or $100,000, those years would have knocked the lowest years out of the calculation entirely. Let me put a real number on this. Patricia retired at 58. Her 4 lowest indexed earning years averaged $31,000 each. If she had worked 4 more years at her current salary of $92,000, those 4 low years would have been replaced in her top 35 calculation. The difference in her AME is approximately $510 per month in indexed earnings. Applied to the Social Security benefit formula, that translates to roughly $200 more per month in her actual benefit check. Over a 25-year retirement, that is $60,000. Gone. Not because she filed wrong, not because she missed a form, because she stopped working 4 years before those low earning years could be pushed out of her calculation. You can look up your own earnings record right now at SSA.gov. Create a My Social Security account, look at your earnings history, find your 5 lowest years, then ask yourself what those years would look like if you replace them with your current salary. That gap is the first cost of retiring before 62. The second thing that happens is you lock yourself into a smaller base benefit before you even think about when to file. There is a distinction that most retirees never learn, and it is one of the most expensive misunderstandings in retirement planning. There are 2 separate decisions in the Social Security system. The first is when you stop working. The second is when you file for benefits. Most people treat these as the same decision. They are not. You can retire from your job at 58 and still wait until 67 or 70 to file for Social Security. But if you retire at 58 and your earnings record stops growing, your base benefit, the number the SSA calculates from your AMI, is smaller than it would have been if you had kept working. This matters because every claiming strategy, every delay calculation, every spousal benefit, every survivor benefit is built on top of that base number. A smaller base means a smaller delayed benefit. A smaller base means a smaller spousal benefit for your husband or wife. A smaller base means a smaller survivor benefit if your spouse outlives you by 10 or 15 years. The Social Security formula applies 3 percentage brackets to your AIM to produce your primary insurance amount, or PIA. In 2026, the formula credits 90% of the first 1,026 of your M, 32% of the amount between 1,026 and 7,391, and 15% of anything above $7,391. These dollar amounts are called bend points, and they adjust each year with the National Wage Index. The practical implication is that lower income years, including the 0 years that fill out a short earnings record, fall into the 32% and 15% brackets, where every dollar of AMI translates to fewer cents of actual benefit. If stopping work at 58 reduces your AIM by $510 per month, as in Patricia's case, and that $510 falls in the 32% bracket, your monthly benefit drops by 160 thries. At the 15% bracket, it drops by $77. Either way, that reduction is permanent. It compounds across every year of your retirement, and it reduces every benefit that flows from your record, including what your spouse may collect after you are gone. The third thing that happens is the Social Security Administration applies 0 income years to your record in real time. Here is something the SSA does not advertise and most people learn too late. If you retire at 58 and you have fewer than 35 years of actual work history, the zeros start counting immediately. They are not a future projection, they are already in your record. Every year you are not working and not earning Social Security credits is a year that either fills an empty slot in your 35-year calculation with a 0, or if you already have 35 years, sits waiting to replace nothing. But here is where it gets worse for people who retire in their late 50s. Many people in that situation have 33 or 34 years of earnings, not 36 or 37. They spent a few years in school, or they took time off for children, or they had a gap early in their career. For those people, retiring at 58 means the SSA will eventually fill 2 or 3 or 4 slots in their top 35 with zeros. And those 0 years sit in the lowest position in the calculation, but they still drag the AMI down. Daniel retired at 59. He had 33 years of earnings history. His benefit calculation at full retirement age included 2 0 years by the time the SSA computed his final AMI. Those 2 0 years reduced his monthly benefit by approximately $140. He is 74 now. He has been collecting for 7 years. That $140 monthly reduction has already cost him $11,760. By the time he reaches average life expectancy, the total cost of those 2 0 years will exceed $33,000. He never got a notice about it. There was no penalty letter. The reduction was built silently into the formula. If you are not yet 62 and you are considering retirement, go to ssa.gov today and pull your Social Security statement. Count your years of actual positive earnings. If the number is below 35, every year you do not work before filing is a year that costs you money in the final calculation. The fourth thing that happens is that retiring before 62 eliminates your access to Social Security disability insurance at the exact moment your health risk is highest. This one is different from the others. It is not a reduction in your retirement benefit. It is the elimination of an insurance policy you have been paying into your entire career. Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, is available to workers who become unable to work due to a medical condition expected to last at least 12 months or result in death. To qualify for SSDI, you must meet what the SSA calls the recent work test. In 2026, if you are 31 or older, you generally need to have worked and paid Social Security taxes in 5 of the last 10 years, meaning 20 quarters out of the last 40 quarters, to qualify. The key word is recent. If you retire at 58 and stop earning Social Security credits, your recent work test clock starts running backward. By the time you are 60, you have 2 years of no credits. By the time you are 62, you may be right at the edge of still qualifying. By the time you are 63, if you have not returned to any covered work, you may no longer meet the recent work test at all. You will have paid into SSDI your entire career, and you will not be able to collect it if something goes wrong. The financial exposure here is not theoretical. The average SSDI benefit in 2026 is approximately $1,180 per month. A person who becomes disabled at 61 and qualifies for SSDI can collect that benefit until they reach full retirement age, at which point it converts to a retirement benefit. A person who retired at 58, let their credits lapse, and becomes disabled at 61 gets nothing from SSDI. The difference over 4 years of potential SSDI benefit is more than $75,000. This is the insurance cost of retiring before 62 that nobody talks about. You do not just lose future retirement benefit growth. You surrender a disability safety net that you spent decades funding. If you are retiring before 62 and you want to preserve your SSDI eligibility, talk to a Social Security specialist about what part-time or consulting work, even minimal covered earnings, could do to keep your recent work test current. If this is helping you understand what you need to know before you make the early retirement decision, hit the like button right now and share this with anyone you know who is thinking about retiring before 62. Subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss a video like this one. The fifth thing that happens is the permanent reduction that comes from claiming early, which multiplies the damage already done by a smaller base benefit. Everything we have discussed so far happens before you file a single form. The earnings record damage, the AME reduction, the 0 years, the SSDI exposure, all of that happens the moment you stop working. Now add the claiming reduction on top of it. You cannot file for Social Security retirement benefits before age 62, but if you file at exactly 62, the SSA permanently reduces your benefit. For someone whose full retirement age is 67, filing at 62 means a 30% permanent reduction. Not a temporary adjustment, not something that reverses at 67. A 30% haircut that applies to every check you receive for the rest of your life. Here is what that means in real numbers. Ellen retired at 58. By the time she reached 62, her base benefit, her PIA, had already been reduced by the 0 year and low earning year effects we discussed. Her calculated PIA at full retirement age would have been $2,100 per month. Instead, because of the early retirement earnings reduction, her actual PIA is $1,840. If she also files early at 62, the SSA applies the 30% claiming reduction to that $1,840 figure. Her actual monthly check becomes $1,288. Compare that to a coworker who kept working until 62 with the same earnings history and then waited until 67 to file. That coworker's benefit, $2,100 per month. The difference is $812 per month. Over 20 years of retirement, that is $194,780. And that calculation does not include the survivor benefit implications for a spouse, or the cost of living adjustments that compound on the higher base, or the Medicare premium implications tied to income. The 30% early claiming reduction is calculated precisely. For each month before full retirement age that you claim, your benefit is reduced by 5.9 of 1% for the first 36 months and 5.12 of 1% for each additional month beyond that. Filing exactly at 62 when your full retirement age is 67 means 60 months early. The math, 36 months times 5.9 of 1% equals 20%, plus 24 months times 5.12 of 1% equals 10%. Total reduction, 30%. That reduction is locked in the day you file. Now here is your action checklist. Do every one of these before you make the early retirement decision. Go to ssa.gov and create a My Social Security account if you do not already have one. Download your full earnings record. Count the number of years with positive earnings. If that number is below 35, calculate how many additional working years you would need to eliminate 0-year slots from your top 35 calculation. Use the SSA's online benefit estimator to run 3 scenarios side by side. Scenario 1, you retire now. Scenario 2, you work 2 more years. Scenario 3, you work to age 62. Look at the projected benefit at full retirement age for all 3. The difference between Scenario 1 and Scenario 3 is the minimum cost of retiring now. Check your SSDI eligibility. Log into your My Social Security account and look at your statement. It will show your current SSDI eligibility. If you retire before 62, note the date at which your recent work test will expire based on your current credits. That expiration date is your disability coverage deadline. Talk to a Social Security specialist, not a general financial advisor, before you finalize any early retirement date. Ask specifically about the break-even age for your situation, spousal benefit implications, and whether any part-time covered work could preserve your earnings record without requiring full-time employment. Now let me connect all of this to the bigger picture because these 5 things do not operate in isolation. Your Social Security benefit is the foundation that every other retirement income calculation sits on. Medicare Part B premiums in retirement are set based on your income, but they are also offset by what Social Security pays. A lower Social Security benefit means less buffer against Medicare cost increases. Your survivor benefit, what your spouse receives when you die, is a percentage of your own benefit record. A 30% reduction in your benefit creates a 30% reduction in your spouse's potential survivor income. If your spouse is younger than you, that survivor benefit could cover 20 or 25 years of their retirement. The cost of your early exit from the workforce does not end with you. There is also the inflation dimension. Social Security benefits receive annual cost of living adjustments, COLA, calculated on your current benefit amount. A lower starting benefit means every COLA adjustment, even at the same percentage, produces fewer actual dollars. Over 25 years of compounding, that gap widens every single year. Let me tell you about Thomas. He was 59 years old, a senior project manager, methodical, detail-oriented, and proud of the fact that he had planned his retirement himself for 15 years. He had spreadsheets, he had projections. He retired in March of 2024, feeling completely prepared. His first meeting with a Social Security specialist happened in late 2025. The specialist identified 4 separate problems. Thomas had 34 years of earnings history, meaning 1 0 year was already in his calculation. 3 of his lowest indexed earning years were from early in his career and were still in his top 35 because he stopped working before higher years could replace them. His SSDI eligibility would expire in 2027 if he did not return to any covered work, and his plan to file at 62 would apply the 30% early claiming reduction to an already reduced base benefit. None of these were errors, none were fraud. All of them were the entirely predictable result of retiring before 62 without understanding how the Social Security formula actually works. Thomas spent 3 weeks running revised projections with the specialist. In the end, he decided to take on part-time consulting work, just enough covered earnings to keep his recent work test current and to add 1 stronger year to his earnings record each year. By doing that for 2 years, he eliminated the 0 year, improved his aim, preserved his SSDI coverage, and increased his projected lifetime benefit by more than $80,000 without returning to full-time work. None of it needed to happen the hard way. Every one of those issues was identifiable and partially fixable before he made the final retirement decision. Here is your one practical tip that most pre-62 retirees never consider. You do not have to choose between full-time work and full retirement. The Social Security system responds to earned income in any positive amount. Even $15,000 or $20,000 per year in consulting, part-time, or freelance work that is subject to Social Security taxes keeps your recent work test current, adds a year to your earnings record, and potentially replaces a low or 0 year in your top 35 calculation. You do not need to go back to the job that was burning you out. You need covered earnings. That is a much lower bar than most people realize, and it can close a significant portion of the $100,000 gap that early retirement silently creates. The common thread across all 5 of these mechanisms is the same. The Social Security system was designed around continuous work until your early to mid-60s. Every formula, every threshold, every benefit calculation reflects that assumption. The moment you exit the workforce early, you are running a different set of calculations than the ones most retirement planning tools show you. And the gap between what the standard projection says and what the SSA actually computes, using your real earnings record and your real retirement age, is often 6 figures.